The gift that keeps on giving. Sloppy Spurs fall to its second away defeat in the past 3. Welcome to Project Spurs.
Oh, the streets are cold and grey, but the fire in our hearts won't stray from the pitch where dreams collide. We'll stand together side by side. Oh, when the Spurs go marching in, when the Spurs go marching in, I wanna be there in that number. Oh, when the Spurs go marching in, from the north to Wembley's light.
Hello, welcome to Project Spurs, our first post-game edition. Unfortunately, it comes with a defeat away at Nottingham Forest, a really poor, lackluster performance from start to finish, joined by three good Tottenham fans, and we've got Harry from Prjctspurs podcast joining us shortly. Kieran, thank you for joining us again at short notice. Fantastic from you. And we were talking just before we came on that, again, a pretty poor performance from Tottenham. Just give us some quick initial thoughts before we break down things into dissect everything as best we can.
I mean, could be talking for hours about how much of a shambles that was. I mean, for once, like the lineup, I think a lot of us were happy with. But again, like as soon as you're in game and you're playing a similar system that you did against Slavia Prague and Brentford, when Forest are not the same team, it's not going to work. Regardless of like the system, the players on the pitch, they were very, very sloppy. And I think my biggest gripe is that triple substitution when we're 2-0 down, chasing the game. You bring on Ben Davies, Paulinho, and Bergvall, and for all that, Ben Davies has been a fantastic servant to the club, it's hardly the most sort of encouraging change to make when you're chasing a game. So just more sort of signs that Frank isn't really ready for this sort of club, I think.
Phil, just coming to you, thanking you for joining us as well. What was your initial thoughts on the lineup? Because like we said at the beginning of the game, it was the same formation that picked up a victory against Brentford. So we're hoping, more of the same, but unfortunately, it just wasn't the case, was it?
No, not at all. I mean, I was delighted with the lineup. To be honest, I was really positive about what the players that Frank picked, to go out there today. I don't think there's anything I would have changed about the lineup, really. Like, from my perspective, it was pretty much a perfect one. I was happy with Moani starting, whether he's on the left or, and Richie in the middle. I thought, yeah, great. Gray, obviously, another one. I was really, really happy. And I think because of that, I was also very positive going into the game, I did predict a 3-1 win or something like that. So, obviously, yeah, there's that. But, no. I was just happy that Frank was continuing with Gray, giving him another chance to play, not going back to type and taking him out and obviously putting that double pivot in there. But, I thought great. So I was really positive before the game, to be honest.
Yeah, Adrian, how did you feel going into the game? So obviously, again, we didn't see Paulinho start, which I saw quite a few accounts thinking he may, and we stuck with the same double pivot. What was your initial thoughts sort of going into today's game?
I was happy with the lineup and I expected a win. I think the majority of the Spurs fan base expected a win after a draw and 2 wins. So it was very disappointing. We didn't turn up whatsoever, did we? We just didn't turn up. You couldn't pick out one player and say that they played half decent, really. So we were just very, very, very poor on the day. And that's where I question Frank. Because we all know, like, when you've played football, most games are won and lost in midfield. So to me, at half-time, nothing's working. Game's not over. We're still in this. So, to me, you beef up the midfield. You throw an extra midfielder in there. That's what you do. And if it means taking off either Richarlison or Moani, you take one of them off and go 4-4-2, or something like that. So, so I think Frank now, he seems to have got things a little bit better at home. Now he needs to find out, although we've got a very good away record, this is before cracks have appeared in us now away from home. So now he needs to find a solution for playing away from home. And you need legs in midfield. And to be honest, as much as I like Paulinho, he doesn't get left and right to stop things from happening against you. So if Bentancur's not in a game, Bentancur's got more legs than him. But, I would have brought Bergvall on at half-time and probably hooked Bentancur personally, or left Bentancur on and took the striker off. But I'm sure we'll get into it.
Yeah, we'll get into it. And Harry, thanks for joining us as well. I know you've been at work today, and we're going to cover some of the potential transfer news and things with you. But I know you haven't seen huge amounts of the game, but you obviously saw the lineup, and I think you were as much positive as we were.
Yeah, absolutely. And I agree with what the guys have said so far that I've heard. The lineup, you saw it, you think, okay, this could be okay. And where maybe I do differ slightly is I never thought this would be necessarily even a win for Tottenham. I'm thinking it'd be great if we can, because it's a tough game. Sean Dyche has come in before this game, 6 wins in 11. Nottingham Forest, a team that are now 17th. That's really impressive for any team in that position. And we know that they've fallen off a cliff from last year. They've gone through 3 managers. But Sean Dyche has come in and he's steadied the ship, bar the anomaly of Everton. So he's done a good job. It's never going to be easy. I think it's always a possibility that we lose this game. But, I didn't think we'd be losing by 3 goals, and then maybe the manner as well, and the performance that we saw. But no, I think there's no real surprise with the lineup. My only criticism would be I don't like to see Percy Mwani on the left. I don't think he's effective at all. That's just my own opinion on the left-hand side. But when we saw the lineup, we didn't know, of course, who would play out for Richarlison and Mwani on the left, and who would be up top. Percy, I prefer, Richarlison at the 2, probably to play on the left-hand side. But the team was good. I think it's what was expected, but I wouldn't say the scoreline at all, or some would say the performance we saw the game, that wasn't expected, Gary. So, yeah, really disappointed now, because I did genuinely believe that I didn't really think that we've gone from like here to here in a week or two, but I thought we might started to slowly turn the page. I didn't think we'd be winning all these games at home all of a sudden, but I thought, okay, maybe we can push on a tiny bit, be competitive. But after this game, my actual feeling is, unfortunately, right now, I think we feel like a little bit of, and it's going to hurt to say this, but a mid-table club without an identity. That's how I feel at the moment, and that's a horrible thing to come round.
We want progression, don't we? We just want steady progression from each game, and I felt like those last 3 games we were getting there, and then we've kind of fallen very quickly in that performance. And you look, I tweeted this earlier. In Nottingham Forest, they've had 3 managers this season, then they're 17th. We look like the side that's had 3 managers and they're 17th, and it's concerning. Just looking at the stats as well from today's game. Again, look at that XG from Tottenham, a 0.37. Again, very, very concerning. 6 shots, just 1 on target. Complete domination, really. Let's be completely honest about it in all areas. Okay, we ball possession. Somehow we managed to keep the ball more than them, but yeah, it's ineffective if we're not scoring, or we're not even putting chances in the box, or making any big chances. 0 there again. Adrian, do these stats surprise you in any way at all?
The possession stats, not so much, but we don't do a lot with the ball when we've got it, do we? So, I mean, like, looking through 6 shots we had, I wouldn't have thought we had 6 shots. It didn't seem like a game where we had 6 shots, and I did watch the game. And we only created that Archie Gray chance, didn't we? The turn on the shot, which was a good effort. But no, I mean, like, we've got this problem. I mean, the problem we've seen so far is the defence we know can hold its heads high in most games, but it's the link. There's no cohesion between the midfield and the forwards, and this has been a problem that Frank has had all season. There is none. We do get goals from set pieces and from our fullbacks. Where's the slick interchangeable passing that you see good sides do, that you progress the ball forward? We just don't progress it forward well enough. We just don't do that, and it's been a constant problem. It means that, I mean, it might work on the rear game. We all think everything's problem solved, but like now it's come back to haunt us again, and we give the ball away. And when it happens, we give the ball away far too easily as well. Sloppy play at times. The first 2 goals were avoidable. They were both sloppy. So we weren't out of it at 2-0, but when that third worldie went in, we were.
Yeah, absolutely. Kieran, just coming to you, as we said, Polina didn't start again today. It's back-to-back in the Premier League, but Gray did, and he didn't have the best of games. Do you think Spurs have kind of found their man for number 6, and that Gray will be that long-term player there, and perhaps Polina might not be someone they're looking to sign in the summer because he started very well, but he hasn't played as much as perhaps we kind of thought. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, people are going to sort of try and dunk on Archie Gray today, but that's the sort of mistake you go. He's a kid, you know what I mean? It happened. I put Vicario just as much to blame as him, but that's the thing. After that mistake, Archie Gray, was pretty solid, but again, sorry, give me a second. The passing today was probably the sloppiest it's been in quite some time. Like we can't move the ball very quickly, and yeah, with Paulinho, first 6 to 8 games, obviously he was top of the tackles and recoveries and stuff, which is all well and good. But when it's going bad, he's not really a player you want to have to bring on because he's going to get an extra couple of tackles in, but he's not going to really do anything to create a goal. So I would be surprised if we, if we took up the option in the summer. I would be surprised because there's a lot better out there. Obviously, you saw Elliot Anderson today, who was fantastic. So obviously, he's probably likely to go to one of the bigger clubs. But if the Lewis family and the new board are wanting to really try and get Tottenham fans on their side, these are the sort of signings that we're going to need to start trying to make.
Yeah, Phil, just coming to you earlier on, 5 minutes in, Boris hitting the post, but Vicario had one of his one solid save I would have given him. But again, as Kieran said there on the goal, Vicario is looking out. He's in control with the ball at his feet. Yes, Gray is demanding that ball as he should. However, the player in control of that scenario at that time is Vicario. He can see everything in front of him, every player that's approaching. All he needs to do is take control of that. And again, this is the 3rd or 4th time he's pumped the ball into a player who unfortunately is unaware of how much pressure they're under, makes a mistake and we score. Disappointing again from a goalkeeper that is having an up and down season.
Yeah, I mean, I blame Vicario more than Gray for that mistake because he shouldn't be playing it to Gray in the first place, regardless if Gray was showing or not. He had a player on him. Gray could have easily just played a quick ball across, I think, to Porro, possibly, who was out on the other bit. But, he was stressed in that situation. He put a 19-year-old again, who hasn't played that much right in that position. And I don't think that Vicario should have done that. And he was screaming at Archie Gray afterwards again, like he's done Spence or whoever else a couple of times this season, or when he made that mistake right at home against Fulham, and he was in screaming afterwards. I mean, it's had an up and down season. We'll talk about the second goal obviously as well a bit later on, I guess. But I don't know. I mean, Vicario he's a good keeper. You could say there's probably bigger priorities that we need to do with our squad than swap him out. We need something more midfield. We need that left winger. We need another left back. All those kind of standard things, right? They all come ahead of Vicario. But I honestly think there has to be a serious question about. And I'm not saying that Kinski is the absolute answer either, right? I believe he can be. He's an amazing talent, and I know he hasn't impressed many Spurs fans, so far, but I think he needs a small run of games. And I think there has to at least be a discussion or a question around whether, maybe Kinski gets a couple of games. And it's not about dropping Vicario per se, but maybe Vicario actually just needs a couple of games on the bench, to, I don't know, right, mentally, kind of reset, whatever else, I mean, other teams do it sometimes as well. At the moment, I just feel that Vicario almost has a bit of, how can you say, he's got like he's always going to play, like maybe the feeling is that the competition isn't there for him, but it's like he can kind of almost do a bit what he wants, and he's still going to play the next game. And of course, he's a great shot stopper. We know that. He's kept us in games this season as well. But the amount of little things that happen, whether they're howlers or whether they're errors that come from bad decision making. They are a lot this season. I think it's 7 or 8 now that can be kind of goals.
He's been at fault for 72% of our goals this season so far.
Yeah, they makes it abundant of errors. Adrian, you made a good point before we came on air. You don't believe there's anybody out there at the moment that we potentially could get or go for that is better, or even within our squad, which I kind of agree with you. I think the glaring problems we have are outside on the pitch. I know he's potentially one. I think there is glaring issues outside that we need to address before we look at a goalkeeper situation. Adrian, what do you think on that?
Yeah, I mean, if I was looking, and I don't know the situation with regard to goalkeepers in other leagues, so as I don't know, if I was looking, I'd be looking for international goalkeepers, the ones that play between the sticks for their country, because they have to be decent to play for your country. Whether they're good enough for the Premier League, who knows? I mean, I can see with the Kingsley issue, I can see him going out on loan next year, but Corey are going to want to leave. And then apart from having Austin in the squad, I don't see Gunter coming in the squad. And I'm a fan of Gunter, actually. But is he ready? We don't know. But then when Walker came in the side, he was a very young goalkeeper, Ian Walker, at the time. So, I mean, I know Gunter's loan at Wealdstone. He let quite a few in, but that's probably the quality in front of him more than anything else. But I liked him. And that all-conquering, double winning season for the under-21s, and I watched every game on Spurs play. I mean, I thought Gunter was superb. Maybe need to be a bit better with crosses coming in, but I think all goalkeepers have that, because you've got to make that conscious decision to go and get this ball. If you don't get it, you're at fault. So I mean, perhaps we may see Gunter in the FA Cup. Mind you, it's Villa, isn't it? But against Villa, you never know. Or Kingsley against Villa. That's the last chance you're going to get, unless we'll probably go Vakara against Borussia Dortmund. If we've won that game, we've qualified. Then the last game away to Eintracht Frankfurt, you may see Kingsley or Austin get a game there. Other than that, it's very hard to loan goalkeepers as well. Because if they go
it's hard to loan them, but it's hard to find them as well, isn't it? It's hard to find them. And he didn't have the most. He had one season in Serie A before he moved to England. And you look as well, recently, Gianluca Pagliuca, which is a very famous Italian goalkeeper, played in 2 World Cups, actually came out this week and said he's a very good goalkeeper, but he's not world class, and he doesn't think he's ready for Inter Milan. I think on some of his performances, he probably isn't. Harry, just coming to you, though, Kolo Muani again played on the left-hand side. Do you think that's a stopgap for until further investment is coming from the owners and this Song replacement? Because I know you said at the beginning you weren't too convinced that he's that left-hand side answer. Where are you on that? Do you think he's just a stopgap for now?
He is, and that's for me the frustrating thing, Gary. We shouldn't be in this situation. We're Tottenham Hotspur, and we didn't replace Son in the summer, and that for me is just something that's maybe been forgotten about a little bit too much. That we didn't replace Son. If you say to fans of literally any current Premier League club, they're shocked every time. I have this conversation so often that what, he didn't replace Son? What? So one of his legacies, not only a Tottenham legend, he's a Premier League great as well. Not to replace him, although that man on your screen, it was right to let him go. I do believe that. It was good to see it back the other day too. But we didn't replace him, and that's criminal. We put all our eggs into one basket with Savinha and weren't prepared to match the ambition, and then winced out with absolutely nothing. It's true Tottenham fashion. Interested, admiring, and not getting anything done. So that for me is incredibly frustrating, because we've got a player in Muani who's shown a few positive signs in that centre forward position. But in my view, and I know he can play there and he has played there in the past, I look at him and I honestly think he's dreadful on that left-hand side. And I don't like to say that because I think he's a good player. I don't think he has anything to offer. I don't think he's a touchline player. I think he works best, centre of the park, hold the ball up, because, I've defended Richarlison a lot, but the ball just kept pinging off him today. That's Muani. For me, the ball sticks him a little bit more and Tottenham has some kind of purpose and character going forward. I don't think we changed the scoreline drastically. We have something to aim at going forward, just like we couldn't defend for Toffee today. Then we go forward and you've got Kudus. It looks good, but then runs into people. Richarlison's playing Sabutio and the ball's just bouncing off him. We don't look like anything at all going forward. And I just think Muani playing that centre forward position could have been something a little bit different. Maybe put on a Bear or Tell or Johnson, anyone on the left-hand side. But Gary, those substitutes are really baffling. I know you get onto it, sort of jump the gun, but I'm just so surprised that it took 80 minutes. I've just literally just been told and seen this, 80 minutes to bring on, Brennan Johnson, to bring on Matthias Tell, and you're bringing on people like Ben Davies. I don't know the context. I don't know, at all angry or anything like that. That feature doesn't make sense looking at it from an outside point of view. I don't get it at all. What a bear.
No, I don't think it made much sense.
Either. What's the point? I don't understand.
When you're watching it either, I think Prjctspurs didn't do anything wrong in it at all. I thought Prjctspurs was quite poor again, and perhaps could have made the switch there. I was baffled by the substitution. But Phil, coming to you, first half very, very sloppy. As Harry rightly said, Richarlison, it was bouncing off him. I don't think he controlled the ball really well at all, which is typical Richarlison. Kudus, 2 or 3 players in and around him, running into danger all the time, not being able to move the ball off. Xavi Simons just unable to break down any form of play or get the ball progressing. And Conan Wiley trying to make some stuff work, but he's got no one behind him. Just a really sloppy first half, Phil.
Yeah, I mean, there was no positives whatsoever. I don't think a single player of ours came out with any, real praise or any kind of reason to give them praise, right, in that first half. I mean, indeed, in the whole game, really, if we're being honest. But, I remember thinking after about 10 minutes that Xavi was and Moani were the only 2 players that were kind of at least trying to make something happen. Like, there was a couple of times when Xavi won the ball back and, he found a bit of space. Moani got the ball, but, he had 2 players around him. Spence was also very poor today, and offered zero balance, I felt, and he didn't link up with Moani at all. There was, the passing was just awful. I mean, the amount of sloppy passes from international players, Van de Ven, Romero, and all those other said players as well, Porro, just like either the passes are not, they didn't put enough power on the passes, so they didn't get to the player, and the Forest person just like nicked in front of them. And, it's simple things. So like, it's kind of like, how can you go out there and turn up like that? It's an absolute no-show performance. And I mean, that's why I'm so kind of, on the one hand, angry about it, but I'm also kind of just a bit like, empty about it. Just like, it's the same old Spurs kind of thing again, Like we think we get a bit of positivity. Do you know what I mean? But like, you think
you feel empty because you feel like there's progression made in small doses, and we want that. You want to latch onto that, Kieran, don't you? You want to grab onto it and hold it and think there's something coming here, and then you go and put a performance in like that against a team that's they're 17th. They're getting better, as Harry rightly said. But that's his 3rd manager of the season, and you think they would be all over the show, and they played us off the park.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the big problems as well with our squad is we've got too many players that on their day are good, but when they're bad, they're like horrendous. Like take Vicario, on his day, very, very good, but when he's bad, he's bad. Richarlison.
Just coming on Vicario. Sorry to cut you off. We're going to the second half, right? He's caught again from long range, from a cross. There's just a simple cross that's just been put into the box over again. An Italian international goalkeeper, and he's just caught again.
No, and like we've all said, I don't know. Too many keepers worldwide. That's for the scouting department and that. But he is an upgradable position. That is for certain. But like I was saying, on his day, very good. But when he's bad, he's bad. Richarlison on his day can be a real handful. But when he's bad, my God, he's absolutely woeful. And we were saying on this show the other day about how Colomwani and him is actually starting to link up quite well, just because it gives Richarlison less sort of pressure. But I mean, today, like Harry was saying, why not bring Richarlison off, put Moani through the middle, and then Odubel on the left? Because like with Prjctspurs, yes, he didn't have the best game, but going forward, he's got no one really to link up with. If you have Odubel there, that's a left footer. It just provides a different option. So like, there's no baseline for this team. There's no we never have decent performances. Do you know what I mean? We're either really
Adrian, just coming to you, 2-0 down after that cross that, I mean, to me seems a simple take, but that it's gone in. We're 2-0 down, and then we make Well, we make 3 substitutions. One being Ben Davis, the other being Paulinho, and the third being Bergvall. And the Spurs sort of fan bases are up in arms that we're 2-0 down. We make 2 defensive-minded changes. Where did you sit with those changes?
Yeah, I mean, it was great to see Ben Davies get such a cheer when he came on the last game for all the services given the club. But we know he's like, if he's not part of the club's future, why are you bringing him on? Why are you bringing him on? Why is he in the squad? He could have a coaching role. He might go to one of the Welsh clubs at the end of the season. But we need to bring another left back in. It's what I mean. We've got the money to replace to get a left back and a left-sided player in January. I think we're working hard on that as we speak anyway. So yeah, I mean, you don't bring him on. The other 2, you can understand why he brings them on. You want changes in midfield. We're not winning the midfield battle. I think we should have gone 4 in the middle. You know, another body in there. Even if you left Bentancur on, I mean, like we were getting overrun with Spence. I mean, Spence didn't have a great game either, did he? I mean, they were getting at us down both wings anyway, weren't they? So, What do you do? I mean, you can make wholesale changes, make 5 if you want, but I still think when things go wrong, beef up the midfield. If it means taking one forward off and then going with one number 9, and I actually think Marnie's our best striker anyway. So I
agree with you. I think we're very similar. I think we're very similar, Adrian, in our viewpoint of, you know, the games are win and lost in that midfield. Midfields win and lose games, and I'm really with you on that. Harry, just coming to you on the left back situation. You know, left back cover is desperately needed this January with Ben Davis coming on for Jed Spence, who, by all accounts, I didn't think had a very bad game, but he's come on. Are you hopeful that we sign somebody left back, or there was reports that we may cancel Vuckovic's his loan in January, bringing him into the middle, which could open up potentially for Mickey van der Ven to be a cover at left back as he does for Holland. Where would you sit on sort of left back cover? Would you be open to those sort of scenarios?
100%. No, you asked good questions there, Gary. I mean, I'm totally open to Van der Ven playing at left back. I haven't seen him enough there, but when he has played there more, you know, I'm thinking for Netherlands, then he looks good. So why not? That's a viable option. I don't want to rush. Vuckovic looks good. We don't want to rush in and, you know, play him too early. But what we've seen is really good. But just because it's good now doesn't mean it's going to stay good if you get the wrong choice. So it's easy to get, because it's so like, it would be funny, a doggy when he's on loan at Udinese. I used to watch, you know, banging goals against Juventus, you know, Milan, and looked really good. But, you know, as much as you wanted back, you realise actually that year is key for a player's development. But it looks really good in terms of Vuckovic, but it doesn't look good for Tottenham. That left back, again, another situation where, you know, should have been addressed. And I still look back now and go, I think we signed some good players. I still do believe that. But again, with Tottenham, it's just that one of those you go, yeah, okay, window. Yeah, we could have done so much more. Could have been bigger, bolder. And you can't see the club like this approach. And it frustrates me like you wouldn't believe. Like, we do this big talk, you know, we want to be this, we are this, we believe we're this, but then don't follow it up with the action. You know, they give it the big talk like, yeah, they own a mansion, but in reality, you know, it's absolutely nothing like that. So that's what I find disappointing, because Davis, I mean, I respect him. I think he's been really loyal to the club. He's a great servant. And I do think he, generally speaking, is dependable, even to this day. But the fact we're having to rely on him shows that we haven't progressed for me at all, if anything, retracted as a football club. You know, we could be doing a lot better. We knew as Spurs fans, we said it at the start of the year, all of us, a bit of common sense, that we knew that if a doggy or Spence, let's just say, got injured, or one of our centre-backs, that we're in a difficult situation. That shouldn't be the case of someone in Europe. We should be, you know, prepared, planned, ready to go. As an example, but sometimes you have to hold your hands up and go, they are the best example. You know, Arsenal, I'm going to use them here. You know, for example, Gabriel got injured. You wouldn't really know unless you watch their games, you know, completely and realise they weren't maybe much of a threat from set pieces. But generally speaking, they filled that hole really well, because they have Gabriel, Saliba, Mosquera, Hincapié, the list goes on and on and on. Timber, anyone Tommy Arsu, there's just, the list is like you wouldn't believe. And I'm not even saying let's get to that. I'm saying let's have a little bit more than what we do generally across the defence, because what we have is not good enough. And when you can see 3 goals to Forest, a conversation has to be had. And at the moment, Gary, we've got an attack that's nothing. We lack creativity, really blunt and just awful, woeful up top, and that just puts more pressure on the defence, which is clearly already struggling to cope. But one last thing, I think you mentioned it, Gary, Adrian mentioned it first initially. I think the midfield, that's where the games are won and lost. And for me right now, that's where we are lacking. I like someone like Xabi Simons, and I like the idea of playing a 10, but in reality, Forest got it right. They 3 in midfield, and they just dominated completely, and Graham Benscoe just couldn't cope. We haven't found the balance in midfield. Frank hasn't found his best team, and that's the real frustrating thing, because it felt right with the lineup, knowing that don't fix something that's not broken. It was very similar to what's been working. So today was really unexpected, but you just have to look at the stats or look at the performance to know it could have been a lot more. So that's the concerning thing. Definitely a setback this game.
Yeah, Kieran, just coming to you just on those attacking elements. And look, I agree with what Harry said, Adrian there as well. With 10 minutes to go, we make 2 attacking changes after going 3-0 down. Look, that was a great goal from Sangare. A fantastic finish. But again, Vicario being beat from distance. Does he, it's a good goal. He maybe can't save that okay. But with 10 minutes to go, Matty's still coming on for Kolo Muani. Mohamed Kudus coming off for Brendan Johnson, and Richarlison, probably the weaker of the 3, that was probably the worst player out of the 3, staying on. Tell and Johnson coming on. But where were you sitting with these changes with 10 minutes to go, 3-0 down? Too late? Too late?
Way too late. I mean, they should have been the subs when Paulinho, Davies and Bergvall came on. I wouldn't have minded swapping them around. And that's like the ultimate thing with Thomas Frank. Like, I don't know how he feels inspiring. Like, he feels like a substitute teacher. Like, I don't know. There's never really. He's always reactive rather than proactive. Do you know what I mean? And even the attacking subs, he then makes when we're 3-0 down. Yes, they were stripped and ready, and it just so happened that they scored, and then he was bringing them on. But we're 3-0 down with 10 minutes to go. Do you know what I mean? You swap them subs around with the group at 60 minutes, and you go, do you know what? At least you tried and then tried to shore it up in an ideal world where we actually managed to get it on. How Richarlison stayed on for 90 minutes, I don't know. Like we've all said it, we were talking about it the other day. Richarlison's goal record is very good, like 16 and 22 or whatever. But when you take away a striker's goals, what else does he offer to the team? Take Harry Kane. If he didn't score, he'd still create something. And like I said, when Richarlison doesn't score and he's having a bad day, he's one of the worst. So the fact that he managed to stay on, I don't know. Obviously, Kolo Muani still recovering from the fractured jaw. Took his mask off for the second half.
Yeah, I know. So.
But I would have much rather have finished that game with Kolo Muani in the middle. But Thomas Frank seems to like Richarlison. Is what it is.
Adrian, where are you on this front 3 at the moment? What do you think is our best front 3? Because we've got Brendan Johnson that scored a lot of goals last season, is struggling to get in the game. You got Kudus that's, I think, probably trying too hard. He's holding onto the ball a little bit too much at times. Kolo Muani's sort of shifting in and out positions, and Richarlison is very inconsistent. Where are you sort of with our front 3?
Well, I've only got 2 at the moment, to me, Muani and Kudus. I mean, you could experiment with Solanke on a 3 there when he's back. He should be back this month sometime, later this month probably. But, I mean, then you've got to look at when they play together. With Muani and Richarlison, when they play, they don't link up together. I mean, normally you used to have pairs of striker. You had Kane and Dele Alli link well as a 10 before he got pushed out wide left to cater more for Son's game. But there's no understanding, that between them. And we've had pairs of strikers in the past, Chivers and Gilzine. You can go back to, but there's just no link play between these 2 strikers. They're playing like separate entities, aren't they? There's just nothing between them, and so that's not good to start off with. Richie, I mean, I know he's in the best form in the club, and his stats compare well with all the strikers in the Premier League this season. But I've seen so many better strikers at this football club than Richie. Yep. And to me, he has to go. He has to go. He's just, look, you can't fault his effort and all that. I'll never slag a player or manager for at the football club. I don't boo and things like that. But, I mean, so he'll get my support while he's at the football club. But he doesn't give you, he's not enough to his all-round game. And half the goals he scores, they're sort of, Williams Barnett's got more composure than Richarlison. You know what I mean? I mean, like when you look at the young kids, it's 16, 17.
Funny enough, I get so many messages about Williams Barnett, about throw him in the first team, throw him in the first team. I keep saying, look, he's not ready. And I've been his biggest supporter this season, and I've put a lot of content creating into him. I think he's very, very good. He's an exceptional player, and he has great composure. I keep saying he's not ready, but at this point,
could it be worse?
He can't be any worse.
Yeah, but I'd even bring in Scarlett and Lancashire. I mean, Lancashire blotted his cock by getting sent off against Galatasaray, but he scored 20 odd goals in that season. They won everything, the under-21s, and over 30 with the cup games as well. He is a natural scorer. Scarlett's a natural scorer. I don't see him having a future at this football club because he's not getting the games to him. So he'll go out. They'll have good careers, but I would like to see Lancashire brought into this squad. I would, if Richie goes. And I don't know, we've also got issues now, which is more of a problem for Frank than us, but we're going to have an issue. Every foreign player we bring in means Frank has got to let some out of that Champions League squad because they ain't coming unless they're included in the squad. So he's got that issue to sort out at the end of January when we repost our list of and see who our homegrown is. Maybe Scarlett's homegrown was why he's kept here, you know. I mean, Graham Bergvall may count as under-21s now after a couple of seasons, but they didn't before because they were brought in rather than with our under-21s. So that when we bring a foreign player in, looks like we will do, it's going to be an issue, you know. So, the striking situation. Well, apparently we're looking at Diamandi at Leipzig as well, but he's like 80 mil or something from the Ivorian. Like we're looking at him as well. I would like to sign Wani. I would like to sign him. Get rid of Richarlison and then bring another one. Slanky's coming in, that's 2. Well, then, do you need more than 2? Fix the left-hand side. Get us the left back in. Is it Nathaniel Brown at Leipzig? Is Eintracht Frankfurt? Get him in. He's as fast as anything down that left-hand side. Get him in to fill the left-back spot because Spence is not a left-footed attacking like full-back. It can work when he's facing an inverted winger. But when you go up the field in the final third, his tendency is want to cut in, and then you isolate your left winger. So you cause yourself, why not just keep it simple and balance your squad? You know, left-footed players in left-footed positions, right-footed players in right foot. It's not hard, is it? You know, I know there's left-footed players,
isn't it?
Yeah, it's balanced. So fix it, and then we're fixed at the back. We get a left back in, we're fixed, and we need a left back. Even if our priority is a left-sided attacker. We need a left back, an O for a ball carrying number 8, a Tyrus Hole or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that'd be the dream. Phil, just coming to you, actually, just on a couple of points. One being that left back situation. Obviously, you probably know Eintracht Frankfurt better than any of us sitting here right now. How good is Nathaniel Brown?
He's superb. Like, he'd be perfect for what we need. He's so fast, getting up and down the left flank. He's got a great left foot, like in terms of dead ball delivery. He could probably take free kicks, to be honest, as well. But he's solid defending as well. Like he's not just like a wing back who likes to fly forward, right? And he's kind of doing a bit of defending on the side. He can defend really well, or also sit back if he needs to. But he's probably the perfect profile for what we need, and he's gettable. I know. Been following I've seen him, live 4 or 5 times in the stadium this season so far, and he's been excellent the whole time. He's obviously been rewarded with a couple of Germany call-ups. So he's part of the Germany squad now, and he should play at the World Cup next year. The issue that we have is, I think both Real Madrid and Barcelona randomly are both interested as well, or at least have signalled an interest. But how concrete that interest is another thing, and can they guarantee him playing time, all that kind of stuff. If we went in there now in January, I think that if we were serious about him and we put a good offer into Frankfurt, then I think we could get him now in January. I think both Real Madrid and Barca would wait till the summer anyways. Frankfurt are hard negotiators, of course, with Markus Krösche. Him bringing in 500 million of profit pretty much over the last couple of seasons, including Vikola Mwani. So he's going to drive a hard bargain, but he's definitely gettable for like between 40 and 50 million, I reckon. So let's do it.
They sold Marmoush and Nketiah as well, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, like every, even in the last 3 years, just from strikers alone, they've made like 200 million profit, by identifying players that could be got at good fees, but with the right kind of profile. Marcus Kruscher's a bit of a legend at Eintracht. He's probably going to go to Bayern. That's what everyone's saying, maybe next summer.
Just
But
what they need, more people to make
Brown's playing for Germany, not USA then?
Yeah, he's playing for Germany. Yeah, he got caught.
American,
is his mum American, or is his mum's?
Yeah, he's half. Yeah, he's half American. I think. I'm not sure if it's his mum or his dad. Could be the case it's his dad, who's in the military or something like that in Germany. Something like that, anyways. But he's obviously speaks. Grew up in Germany, speaks obviously fluent German. But I think when Nagelsmann got appointed as the manager, they identified Brown pretty early on, right, when he was playing in the younger age categories, that there's someone he wants to fast track into the seniors team, which they did. So, I don't know what other options we kind of have on left back, right, on the market. I haven't really seen us link with anyone else. Maybe others have, but now it seems like it'd be a bit of a no-brainer.
That's all I'm seeing, and people I speak to as well have just saying Nathaniel Brown as well. So, look, we need it. We need that cover. Harry, just coming to you as well. Brennan Johnson played just 10 minutes today. There's been quite a lot of press linking him with a move away from the club, Crystal Palace being one. Are you for or against a move for Brennan Johnson out of the club?
Yeah, great question. I haven't really thought or discussed this yet on like any of my socials or anything. It's a really good point you make there. I think that this is something that will continue for a while until the January window. I think realistically, in my head, you keep him for rotation. I like Johnson. I think there is reasonable suggestions that he needs to improve his all-round game. But I do some things in black and white. Goals and assists win you games, and Brennan Johnson done that last season. If you're him, and I mean, I know there's more to it. If you just say it like it is really that, Brennan Johnson, his goal won us the Europa League. It's scrappy, yes. How much you knew about it, I don't know. But he was Tottenham's top scorer last year, and then this year he can't get a sniff really in the team. And I don't think he's the long-term answer, Gary. If we look at wingers, they're people with better ability. I look at Brennan Johnson and go, I don't back you to beat your man. Unfortunately, I hate to say that about my own player. I don't think he's going to take him on, or even in the first place. And B, if he does, I don't think he's going to win that battle, which is a real shame. Maybe lacks confidence in himself, not helped originally by this fan base, unfortunately. But Johnson's someone I see is valuable to come off the bench. And, Frank, I'm very, very surprised. Even look at the game today. And listen, there's more to it than defensive changes. Sometimes you can have too many offensive players. I do believe that, and they get in the way of each other. We've seen that so many times over the years under different managers. But it just feels bizarre to have like Odobert sitting on the bench, knowing the impact. We have a little bit of impact in the last few weeks. I think he's got points to prove. He's got back to his teeth. So I don't get why he's not coming on. And same with Brennan Johnson too against Forest. It just makes so much sense to, I thought he would start, if I'm honest with you, on that left-hand side potentially. I don't like him on the left necessarily, but I thought he'd start there. So for me, I'm not for it, Gary, but the price is key. I don't know exactly what, the price tag would be, because I think we overpaid for him, not the first player we've overpaid for under these owners. Richardson's another.
Yeah, we overpay a lot, don't we? That's probably it.
Then we don't get half back. Do we get half back? Just about. That's the problem. It shouldn't be like that. Yeah. That's the way it will be.
I was going to say the same. Kieran, where are you on the Brennan Johnson situation? I don't see it getting anywhere near what we paid for, which again is the continuation of our inability to sell football players at this football club. We overpay and we can't recruit anywhere near. Where are you on sort of Brennan Johnson at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, this is a sort of sale that Tottenham of old have been very, very bad at. We are horrendous at recouping any sort of value. And obviously with the rebranded Lewis family, this January window is a very, very big indicator early doors of what they actually want to do, because we've heard all the quotes, we've heard all the sound bites, but as Tottenham fans, we know this. We've heard war chest gets used every summer, but it never actually comes to fruition. So when it comes to someone like Brennan Johnson, he will be forever remembered a legend. But if Palace are offering like 25, 30 mil, maybe. I think that's something you will have to consider, because I think his value is only going to depreciate as time goes on. If he's not getting in the side, I think Wales will always pick him. So it's not like he's in danger of that. But when it comes to, these improvable players, this is where the Lewis family and the Lewis board really need to put their money where their mouth is, because like we've just been saying, with the options available, when it comes to transfers for Tottenham, it's always, but the bigger teams will want him. We've got the money to provide that gap of interest. You know what I mean? We have that, and obviously the wage structure is something that they're looking to break. So this Lewis family have to show big this January what they mean. Otherwise, Tottenham fans are just going to think it's more of the same.
Yeah, I agree with you. We're just looking at some quotes from the players after the game. Mohamed Kudus says, "Not good enough, a very disappointing result. We didn't create enough today, including myself. We need more effort in our all-round game." Adrian, do you think that sums up today's performance pretty well?
Yeah, on Johnson, I didn't want him at the club. I warmed to him with his 18 goals last season. I thought the kid can finish, and they're not just tap-ins. People say it's a tap. You've got to have the instinct to be in the right place, and he scored a few from the edge of the box. So he's a very good footballer, no matter what other Spurs fans think. But we're not getting the best out of him. He's more of an inside right than he is a winger. But again, I mean, when he doesn't score goals, you think, well, what does he bring to the game? I've only seen him track back in about half a dozen games and all the games he's had. So whether he's been told to stay up there, whether he's told to stay up under Angel or even Thomas Frank, who knows? We don't know what's said in the dressing room. But again, I mean, I go back to the midfield and the creativity. The only one you're going to get strikers involved if you get crosses into the box or you get balls out wide. So we can be harshly critical of Johnson, whether you want to keep him or not, but is he really getting enough service? I mean, what was our XG today? Minus what? So you could see we're just not getting him in positions. When he's in the right spot, he can put the ball away. He's a good finisher, But what was the original question again?
Yeah, it was more about Kudus' assessment of the game, but you do bring up some really good points about how he can finish and he can get in those positions. Have we just gone out and bought a better player for his position ultimately, Adrian? Have we just gone out and bought a player that could create as well as potentially score in Kudus, and he just doesn't fit the system that we have now?
Well, if Maddison comes back and you've got Xavi in there as well, I can actually see Decky playing more games on the right with Kudus, because you're going to have to rest Kudus. And then you bring Decky in. So people say Decky is a 10. I just think Decky's a hybrid. And people say slow. He's not slow. There's just so many good, fast players in this league, So I can see Decky as cover or competition for Kudus, or starting over him in some games, So but we lack drive in midfield. We haven't got a midfield general as such, or a ball carrying number 8. Which is what we need. I mean, there's just no cohesion. I mean, we're so disjointed from midfield to attack. There's just no cohesion there. I mean, and then for strikers, strikers usually develop relationships, but this isn't. I think midfield's our biggest problem. I don't think it's a question of putting the ball in the back of the net. We've had enough defenders score this season, so I think midfield we need to bolster the midfield, whether someone like Conor Gallagher could do the job. And he's not a goal scorer, though. I want a midfielder that scores goals. If they come in, they reckon we might be looking at Belieber at Brighton. I haven't seen enough of him. He's got rave reviews. I mean, the guy...
He's been shocking this year.
Yeah, Anderson at Forest, but do we want to deal with the fat Greek? You know what I mean? So... let him.
Phil, midfield-wise, obviously we were heavily linked with Morgan Gibbs-White. I felt that could play in that double pivot as the man driving us on, spraying the balls. I actually kind of think if he does come back, I've got some reservations of how well he is going to come back. But James Maddison could also potentially do that. We are definitely lacking in that centre midfield. But in terms of the Johnson point, where are you sitting on Johnson, in or out? Because for me, I think I agree with Adrian. I would rather have Kudus and Decky sort of competing on on that right, and then using the money we get for Johnson to bolster that left-hand side.
Yeah, if we get a concrete offer from Palace or someone else, right, and it's 25, even 25, 30 million, we should accept it, move him on. I had high hopes that Johnson maybe could even play through the middle, you know, kind of in a new system, right, or play alongside another, like a bigger striker or something, because he is a good finisher. But I like Johnson as well, you know, but he just doesn't. He doesn't seem to offer the team enough, you know, whenever I've seen him play, both including live in the stadium, you know, when you see a bit more about where he is on the pitch. Doesn't seem to offer himself up to passes enough. He doesn't trap back enough. You know, he seems like a good lad as well, you know, like a good guy, right? You know, and he's scored a lot of goals for us, but I don't think he's offering us enough at the moment. And to be honest, even bringing him on today, in the end, it was almost just like a bit of a desperation move by Frank. Because he just like brought him on with 10 minutes to go. We're 3-0 down, and it's like, well, you're just going to go on the right wing and do what? Like, I mean, there was no plan then either. It was just come into the game and, I don't know, see what happens. Maybe he's going to get a chance that he finishes. I don't know. But I don't think he offers us as a team enough. And, you know, yeah, as you said, on the right-hand side, Decky, when he comes back, you know, I know a lot of people say Decky's better in the centre as a number 8. And I like it when he plays central, but maybe for us, for the way that we play, he is a good option to have on the right again, you know, cutting inside. Or obviously to play Kudus there and then Decky plays elsewhere. But, you know, Maddison hopefully is going to come back at some point. We don't know. We are missing a Morgan Gibbs-White kind of player. We're missing that deep-lying playmaker, which, to be fair, is something that Frank really wanted as well. You know, same as an Elliot Anderson up to a certain extent, who, yeah, is a bit of a different, he's a bit more defensive, right, than Morgan Gibbs-White, but he's still a bit of a playmaker, you know, that Wharton, again, talk about Wharton all the time, but if we want to get to the next level, we do need a top player like that in centre midfield, because we are lacking massively in midfield. And that's the one point where I kind of then also give Frank additional leeway and also, you know, defend Frank then, because I think our midfield is second rate, if I'm being honest, at the moment. You know, Forest's midfield today, regardless of the tactics, if we're being honest, is head and shoulders about our one. You know, just Anderson, Morgan Gibbs-White alone, and then, you know, the other fella in there as well who scored today as well. Who actually I don't even really
look at the last 3 centre midfielders that were centre midfield threes and triplets that we've come up against: Arsenal, Newcastle, and Nottingham Forest. I'd have took all of them. You know, massively.
All of them.
But yeah, exactly. But going on, coming to you, Kieran. Pedro Porro said after the game, the away fans don't deserve this. Today was a bad game from us. Now we're focusing on the next game. Maybe more intensity, I don't know. But I feel especially sorry for the fans. The fans don't deserve this today. It just seems like, Kieran, we say the same thing after every game and don't seem to get much reaction.
I'm so bored of these statements, Instagram posts, stories, the lot. Like, you can give all the lip service you want, but bear in mind, them Tottenham fans have travelled up there, say freezing cold. Yeah, they got a free scarf, but you can say it all you want. You can keep giving as many interviews as you want, and without change, like, Tottenham fans don't really care, you know, like, because it's probably not even him. It's a marketing team, and I don't take that away from him. It's not his fault. But it's just like, just show up on the pitch then. We're not asking for a lot. Like, over the last few weeks, I've seen, obviously, when Thomas Frank's been questioned and pundits and people talk about it and say, "Oh, Spurs fans entitled." It's like, we're not expecting to win every single game, but my God, we want to go out with a little bit of effort. We want to go out like the Arsenal, the PSG game. Fine, they're probably 2 of the best teams in the world at the moment, but you try, you go there, you lay a glove, you create one big chance against 17th place Forest, you know what I mean? And bear in mind, obviously, away tickets are capped, but take it to the home form, we're paying some of the highest prices. Like, it's just like, oh, please just start doing things rather than talking. We'll take any form of action over an Instagram post or a story because I'm so bored of it. So bored.
A lot of talk, Harry. A lot of talk that seems to come out after these games, but we just want improvement and reactions. Currently, before the 4:30 kickoff between Brentford and Leeds, we were 3 points above 15th place after finishing 17th last season. How concerned are you at the moment?
Very concerned. I think I mentioned it earlier. If I didn't, then I'll say it again. You know, I think we are, unfortunately, right now, as things stand, a mid-table club without an identity, which is a shame. And some people go, you know, pot kettle black, Harry, or, you know, what are you saying because you are behind Frank? And I am fully behind Frank. But this is more a reflection of that we've gone through managers that I don't know what, you know, quicker than, you know, work in a cafe, by the way, for context. The part-time job, they go through quicker than the orders come through on the tills. So it just, for me, you've got to be patient. You've got to give Frank time. I like what he's done in his career. I think it, unfortunately, for Frank's case, gets massively ignored. Whether he's the right manager for Tottenham or not, someone who likes him, that remains unanswered. I'm not going to sit here and go, yeah, Frank's going to win a load of trophies. I don't know that. We don't know that. It's not fair for me to try and gaslight or convince people otherwise. But what I do think is he needs a fair shot. I honestly, and this is not me using an excuse because we have to do better as well. I know that. I'm not defending what we're going through right now, but context is important. Yeah, Maddison getting injured in pre-season, I cannot stress enough how big of an impact I think that's had, because if you just look at Maddison's traits, you look at Mikkel Damsgaard, if you watch, you know, him and let's say Brentford for, I don't know, a game, you'll be able to tell how similar they play football. You know, it's really, really similar. And I just think, you know, that would have been so key. Maddison having, well, just Frank having him, I think could have made a big difference. So I think as a result, Gary, I think, you know, Frank's looked at it and gone, Tottenham don't have a look in attack. We're going to have to sit back and shut up shop, you know, be defensively smart. And we saw that work at the first part of the season, but now it's come undone. And we haven't really, I don't think, apart from set pieces, focused on going forward. So that's to me the problem right now. I think that the players we've got out in attacking positions, the fact that we probably haven't thought about too much in attack. I think the training will be all based on set pieces, all based on defence, shape, because we actually are, you know, we play offside. Well, we keep the line very well, put it this way, we play people offside. But the problem is you can't keep putting pressure on the defence, because you only works well shutting up shop. We all know this. If you get out and counter, because in the end, it's, you know, if you force pressure like on a door, you know, in the end, it's going to kind of cave in, whatever it may be. So you just have to have some respite, some relief. I just don't see us having that. You know, we need like a Bergvall, Simmons put their foot on the ball, but even that, they're in and out of the team like yo-yos. You know, there's no consistency with our lineup. There's no consistency of the performances. And there's no consistency of the results. I don't think it's, you know, complete doom and gloom. I'm always with everything. It's football, you know, glass half full. I think that we will absolutely find ourselves further up the table come the end of the year, but there is a risk that we do, you know, become a mid-table club. That's no secret, Gary, and that is concerning. Of course, as you said there, we do find ourselves at 11th, not far off 15th, but I would also say that, you know, very easily in one game we're 8th, and with a couple of games, believe it or not, we're 5th. So, you know, it isn't panic stations yet, but when you see today, you just think that is concerning, because losing, okay, not ideal, it happens, but it's the fact we've lost and could have lost by more. And then we're not, after the game, we've not got really anything that encourages me. I think Frank takes this a little bit personal, which he didn't do at Brentford, which does concern me, because, you know, whenever things went wrong at Brentford, he took it really well. I don't think he has so far at Spurs. He seems to think it's a personal attack, which is a shame. I think he hasn't handled the media well, which is interesting. Maybe something to analyse a little bit further. And again, with the players, it's carbon copy with the same thing. Maybe it is literally, they schedule it, because you can schedule posts on social media. Maybe it's just schedule what they say, and it's similar with the media. It does feel that way. You know, I'd rather not say anything as much as I want to hear transparency of the fans. I'd rather do the talking on the pitch. I think the owners from upstairs could take a leaf out of that book and do the same in the window. But, you know, I believe it when I see it.
Yeah, there's over 320 people watching at the moment live, which is fantastic. Obviously, this is our first time we've ever done this after the show, so I appreciate everyone tuning in. We've only done two we've done 2 live shows so far, so I'm really grateful for the support. I'd love to hear comments from you all, if you are, how you're feeling at the moment. I'm still navigating this StreamYard thing, and I can only see stuff that comes through on X and on YouTube, so just send us a message on there. Otherwise, I'm not going to be able to put you up on the screen if you want to be up on the screen. But anyway, Adrian, coming to you, Tottenham have picked up just 22 points across their opening 16 Premier League games. That's the lowest since 2008-2009 season, which was sent over to me by Kieran. Adrian, where are you at the moment? Concerned, or is this, like Harry says, we are a mid-table side and we're just with no identity?
We'll be fine. We've got to ride the storm. We're still in. I mean, like, we're unbeaten in Europe at home, aren't we, for about 22 games or something like that? I mean,
Yeah.
but it's just the other games. We should be winning more home games. That will come. I mean, even the lesser teams, the less wealthy teams, they don't stand the Premier League on their away form. They have the fortress. So all this talk about fortress, I just dismiss it. Like, it is what it is at the moment. We're just out of form at home, basically. And we've got a very good away record, apart from today. That's very good. And I just think Frank got it wrong today. I mean, the thing with Bentancur and Paulina, they're good squad players to have in. You play one of them, but then if one's not playing well, you don't put the other one on instead of them. Because if the game's going all right, they haven't got. I mean, Paulina's got the least legs in that midfield, and then there's Bentancur. Then you do go with Gray, Bergvall, Sarr. You have to compete with teams, and all these teams are energetic. They all got legs in midfield, and Bentancur and Paulina, although they get forward, they haven't got the legs to get about the pitch that Gray, Bergvall, and Sarr have. They haven't got the engines they've got. They go up for set plays like most teams do, flood the penalty area and all that, but they don't. So if you're taking Bentancur off today, you don't bring Paulina on. Not when things are going, because he hasn't got the legs. He's a good player. I queried on our podcast whether we will keep him, not just because of his age. I just think. I would keep him as a squad player, but because our squad's bloated anyway, I don't think we're going to take up the offer. I think Bayern Munich would even drop their price to try and shift him at his age, but I don't think we'll take up the offer. He'll find another club. It's just instinct. I could be totally wrong, but
no, I agree with you. I don't think we will. And my concern is we've got a player like Prjctspurs that started the season so well and is now not really playing at all. Kieran, like Prjctspurs for you, I'm surprised by that, the scenario with Prjctspurs, but equally, Thomas Frank has made some, like Harry was saying, he's kind of not attacking the fan base, but he feels like things are a bit personal. Today, you've just sent me over. Thomas Frank says that Guillermo Vicario was not at fault for the goal this afternoon. For the first goal, sorry. Where do you stand up? Because
I find that really, really poor.
Is this damage? Is he trying to damage limitations? Is he just trying to just protect his player because he knows?
I think he is there, but obviously I haven't seen the full quote. But by saying Vicario's not at fault, you're leaving it all on 19-year-old Archie Gray. I think if he came out and went, it was a 50-50, you can then go to both of them. Look, it is what it is. But by defining that it's not Vicario's fault, you've then just put it on Archie Gray, who's a young kid. He's probably getting a lot of stick as it is. And I feel like, I'm not saying he should have blamed Vicario, but if he did, Vicario, a seasoned pro, a lot older, he could have said, look, I had to, shield Archie Gray a little bit just because of what's going on. But to come out and just point blank say it's not Vicario's fault leaves very little to the mind of who he's blaming for that goal, when I think it obviously I'd say it's a 50-50 between them. But yeah, I mean, Thomas Frank does seem to have his back up a lot when it comes to press conferences, and especially the fans. I mean, obviously the fans booed today, I think, as well, which you probably didn't like. But again, unfortunately, these fans spend a lot of time and money following this club, and unfortunately, they're not seeing many signs at the moment that things are going to change.
No. Phil, just coming to you. Thomas Frank's defended his decision to bring on two defensive players at 2-0 down. He said, we had 4 offensive players on the pitch. I'm sorry, I shouldn't laugh at that. I think that's fair to say. So I felt that, just to go back to the bit before where I say we were just disjointed. So if you're disjointed, you could have 11 offensive players on the pitch. It will not help. We just need to be in sync, and then that helps. And hopefully we can find a way back after that. And that's quite a long-winded statement. But the first line for me is, we had 4 offensive players on the pitch. We're losing 2-0. Phil, please try to help me here, because I feel like I'm going mad.
I can't help you, unfortunately, because that makes me pretty annoyed, to hear things like that. I think I mentioned on the group chats before, I don't think Frank's helping himself either, right, with some of his quotes and his statements. And we know that as Spurs fans, we want to play in a certain way. We expect to dominate games. You know, we don't even need to dominate games if we're playing well, right? But we're not even playing well, and we're not even like putting the effort in by the looks of it, right? And you know, for him to say something like that after making those defensive subs at 2-0 down, after playing a Forest team that is still 17th in the league, and after playing a Forest team that had 2 days less rest time, how can it be that they just turn up today and press us all over the pitch with energy from 0 to 90 minutes, and we offer nothing and we just crumble, you know? And we buy new players every season as well. And, you know, even in that starting 11 today, you know, there's quite a few players in there that either came in the summer or have only been here a year. And yet they're suddenly also part of this like kind of Spurs, you know, weak, crumbly, you know, kind of thing again, right? Where people are like, oh, we need better players, we need stronger players. This all kind of goes into the big kind of malaise and the big problem at the moment. And Thomas Frank isn't helping himself. That's the problem, and that's the issue, because if we keep churning out results like that, or even if we go and pick up some more wins, and then suddenly from somewhere where we get a bit of hope again, we pull out a stinker like that again today.
Yeah.
I mean, we could have lost that 6-0 today, you know, and the fans will then either turn on Frank, or there'll be more fans that question Frank, and the pressure will come. And that's where at some point, if we don't pick up enough wins and we keep dropping down to 15th, 16th, then, you know, we may have a bit of a problem, right, in terms of the manager, in terms of having to make a decision.
On that point that you made there is obviously quite a large amount of the fan base already turning. Just before we leave, because I did promise you all an hour and we're just going over that, I'm slightly torn. Now, I try to be as positive as I can with all the sort of the TikToks I do and the shorts and everything I can to look for something to hold on to. I'm not sure this can continue. We can't seem to get any rhythm in, and I'm not sure what the answers are. Just briefly from each of you, starting with you, Adrian, what are the answers?
Frank's got a free hit this season. He's safe. You've got to look at it not from the fans thinking about the manager. You've got to look at it from the ENIC point of view. They've appointed this man. They've offered to put 100 million. They've got to spend in January. And they're not getting rid of the manager because it'll look so bad on them. And boardrooms always look after themselves first. So he's safe. Even if we were to finish, 16th, 15th or mid-table, he's safe this season. He's safe to see it out. And with the new recruits and players coming back, I think we're going to have a strong finish to the season. It's draining though, isn't it, when we go through this, win one, lose one, 3 steps forward, 1 step back, and it's frustrating as well. But we just got to ride this out, because even Frank, he's got to realise that when you're not getting a foothold in the game, he talks about 4 strikers up there. That's rubbish. It's rubbish, because you need a foothold in the game. So rather than worry them, take a striker and put a midfielder. And when you get a foothold in the game, then bring Johnson or someone else on. But get a foothold in the game. And he's making some tactical decisions that are wrong. He's got things right this season, and he's got things wrong. I mean, I support him. So again, you want to replace the manager. There's no one out there that's available that we reckon is good, unless it's Glasner's at the end of his contract. But so no, I think he's got a free hit, and I think we'll be fine by the end of the season. But we're in transition again, and I know the fan base are fed up of waiting.
Yeah,
I mean,
I agree with you. I do agree with you. I think you hit it nail on the head. We are in a transition, and I do think he's got a free hit. I think, and please tell me if I'm wrong, Harry, I said it on your podcast that I don't believe he will be sacked, because I think it's a PR disaster. I think it would be an absolute disaster, and I do think he's got a free hit. Harry, where are you? Because you are positive. You've been positive throughout this podcast. Are you in agreement with Adrian? This is a free hit for him?
It is, but there has to come a level of expectation with that. If we look dangerously for whatever reason, don't think we will, but if we are around where we were in the league last year and don't have the same success in other cup competitions, then there has to be what I call an emergency button that the owners have used far too often, but it has to be there, and we have to be ready to go, look, okay, we've accepted it doesn't work. I believe, hand on heart, Gary, that Frank is the man with time, with backing to bring the football club together and achieve things. Frank's the right manager for Tottenham to bring the fans and players together. That's what he's done at Brentford. That's what he's done all through his managerial career, even as assistant coach. He's done it in Denmark. That's what he's known for. The guy that literally, if you have a look into it and do a little bit of research, he's known as the guy that united that Danish club that he was at. That tells you need to know that's what he's done. But is he right for Tottenham in terms of Tadarius to do? No, not at the moment. He's not. I think that could change. Frank's never going to be this dead manager that we're going to go and stun someone with how attacking we are. He's more sensible. But I think this is what Tottenham needs right now. We need something safe, because last year was bonkers in so many ways. We need stability. Frank will bring stability. So and I mean this, I know this will sound really weird after losing 3-0, but I am really still fully, not just slightly, fully Frank Kim for now. And, I just look around and go, who comes in and does a better job? What manager's going to come in that results in Tottenham scoring more goals? We might look more appealing, but I think we concede more at the back. I don't see any quick fix. I don't think we're in the mud, or I don't think it's dire states or anything like that. We just won a trophy for last year, for goodness sake. But at the same time, I don't think we should be jumping on the bandwagon, because we know that if we win our next 3 in a row, probably not going to happen, unfortunately. But if it does happen, then all of a sudden we're back in the top 8, boom, like that, if not more. So I think at this stage it is such tightly congested table. Forest, I think you've got to get the balance of it and go. Forest looked really good, and Tottenham didn't look very good. It's another bad day at the office. I'm concerned with some things I see. I'm concerned with what Frank's saying, what he's doing in this game with substitutes, and I'm concerned with some of the selections. And I am concerned, no doubt about it. But I don't want to, again, jump to conclusions, rush to make a decision, because sackings and appointments have been dreadful under these owners. But you mentioned PR stunts. That's something that upstairs likes. For me, the pressure should be on them, because, they appointed Frank at the end of the day. They've made numerous awful managerial decisions, and they're all this big talk. Of course, he should give them January. I know that, and I don't want to jump ahead. But I think we know already how January's going to go, and I do hope I'm wrong, because I am generally more positive. And I'm positive about this football club. I think we can still get European football of some kind. I think we can compete in all 3 competitions we're currently in the latter stages too. Champions League, I still have full confidence we can get through, even automatically. I think we can do that if we dig deep. I do believe in this football club. I think as fans, we have to put pressure on the team to do better. But also, I don't want to see any booing, any nastiness, because that makes it hard for Frank and the team to succeed. The job of a supporter is to support through thick and thin, but they also need to give us something to get behind. So it swings and roundabouts, whatever way you look at it. I'm going around the houses by Anne Franken.
I've got one question.
Sure.
What do you think? I mean, at Brentford, Frank had a week between games.
Yeah.
So what's your take on
that? In my opinion, he's the biggest problem he's having right now. Is he's taken a team that struggled in the league last season and we were poor. However, he's now doing something. He's now got to build them back up, but equally he's doing something he's never had any experience in doing, and that's playing every 3 games. And I think beginning of the season he struggled with that, with the chop and changes. Now he's trying to find that rhythm. He's maybe not getting it right. He's struggling clearly. And I think it is the European factor is causing some issues for him. I don't know about everybody else. That's just my thought on it.
And he's obviously got less time with the players if he's got a game every 3 days, where he had time at Brentford with them. So it probably plays a part. How much, we don't know. I mean,
I think it plays a large part. Kieran, coming to you on a similar question, but Harry was right in a lot of what he was saying. But you look at the next 4 fixtures. So we're at home 5 days before Christmas, next Saturday against Liverpool. We picked up an important win at the weekend. So the advantage is probably there with them. Just after Christmas, we go away from home against Crystal Palace. And then on New Year's Day, it's away at Brentford before we welcome Sunderland 3 days later at home. That's a lot of games in a very short period of time. And they're very difficult games. All of them are picking up decent amount of points. Brentford maybe 50-50. Do you think that this is a free hit season, or will he be defined by what happens in January?
I think there's a couple of things. I think it is a free hit for him because, like I said, the Lewis family's first decision was him. So, it would look bad. On the plus side, it should put more pressure on them to be active in January, even though I think this squad is still a lot better than he's managing to get it playing. Yes, we've got a couple of injuries, but this squad is far better than what we're seeing at the moment. Obviously, there's a lot of a lot of talk about what Thomas Frank is going to do, but there's not a lot of actual him doing it. Do you know what I mean? And I don't know how long this goes on. You know, I don't think he's going to get the 7 years he had at Brentford to try and create that feeling. Unfortunately, we're not at Brentford. Do you know what I mean? So, like, and the thing is, obviously, I want him to succeed. I'm a Tottenham fan, and I'd love to be proved right. But at the moment, there is so little. Like, looking at them 5 games: Liverpool, Palace away, Brentford, Sunderland, and Bournemouth for our next few games. How many of them do you see us actually winning? Really? Like, Palace away, Palace played very well against Man City today. Liverpool, we never win against, even if they're as poor as they are. Brentford away, yeah, toss up. Sunderland, good performance against Newcastle today. Newcastle, who are pretty good, and then Bournemouth away. Do you know, like, we're going into game. Today was actually the first time in a while that I've made the mistake of feeling somewhat optimistic for a game. But looking at that stretch of 5 fixtures, I don't know what games we can feel confident for.
Yeah, Phil, just finishing with you before we finish. Liverpool on Saturday, probably last week, 2 weeks ago, you'd be quite confident, as Kieran says, and maybe with a result today would have felt confident going into that. How were you feeling? Early thoughts of our next fixture, which is at home against Liverpool?
Not good.
That's easy. That's the best quick response you've ever given on a podcast, Phil. And I'm going to leave it with that comment. I think that was perfect. Not good. I think that echoes a lot of what we're about to say. But if you want to elaborate, you can.
Well, all I will elaborate on it is that I think Liverpool already look a bit better compared to a couple of weeks ago. I watched the whole of the game yesterday, and they were better. They should have scored more goals. You know, Ekitike is doing really well, as you know I knew he would do, having played at Frankfurt and stuff. Wirtz is getting better. You know, their midfield has more balance. Kerkez is getting better. You know, he's getting integrated. So look, I mean, Liverpool are kind of turning that corner again, and it's another home game. You know, the only good thing is, again, we can't really be any worse than we were today. So, again, maybe there is a reaction somehow from the players, right? You know, that they just, I don't know, have pride, and they actually just go out there and actually, like, fight and run and try and pass the ball properly, right? Rather than just kind of not really doing anything very well. But, yeah, no, I'm a bit scared about it. And I think it could be a bit of an ugly result. And as Kieran said, the run of games is on paper quite challenging as well. So let's see where we are once that run of games is over. The window's open, isn't it?
Yeah.
In January, Frank has said today, or he came out, didn't he, this morning, saying that he wants quick signings. Well,
we're not traditionally very quick in the transfer market. However, if they are, as Harry said,
serious,
they will make those changes now. We have 350 people watching live, which is fantastic. Again, thank you so much for that. Now is your time, guys, just to tell everybody where to go and follow you, your channels, etc. Harry, we'll start with you. You've got a great podcast. Please tell everyone where they can find you.
Firstly, thanks for having me. Real pleasure. First time on here, and I'm always available to come on if you'd like me to come on, because I enjoy talking to all you guys. So thank you. Pleasure to honestly share the stage with all of you, and some for the first time as well. But yeah, you can follow me at HarryScarf22 across all socials. I also have my own YouTube channel, Harry Scarf. There today is something to always talk about with Tottenham, but it is Tottenham, it's England, it's FPL, it's all Premier League club in terms of covering the news as well every day. So yeah, a lot of stuff goes on there. Also TikTok as well, like I said there, Harry Scarf. So we can find all my stuff. Also some autism advocacy work as well, and some football writing articles when there's time as well, when I'm off work or college. But no, thank you, Gary, for having me. I mean, he didn't watch the game, but I'm enraged from how it went. So I look forward to talking about it on a couple more podcasts tonight. But Gary, thank you. Got me started talking Tottenham, and all the best with your new channel and podcast. It looks like it's going really well by the numbers, and make sure you support Gary.
Thanks, Harry. Adrian, where can we find you? I know you've got a show today as well, right?
Yeah, we got a show tonight at 21:30. Harry's on with Tom, I think, and Ian is coming on, and he's been on a cruise around the Caribbean and South America, so he's probably got boat lag and scurvy. So he said he's a bit tired when I host. I said, well, when don't I? So I'll host tonight's shows. You guys are always welcome on the show. I'll be contacting Kieran and Phil anyway. So we go out actually every Friday and Sundays. Fridays mainly for Americans. That's 10 o'clock. Sundays 9:30. And like midweek now, I'm going to bring the shows down to mid. But that'll be a Tuesday or Wednesday. It'll be this Tuesday. So that'll be 9 o'clock because people in the UK have got work, and we were doing 10 o'clock. It was just too late, you know what I mean, to do shows like that. But we do have quite a big Facebook group of nearly 15,000. I wish I could get them over onto our platform. We got a WhatsApp group with about 3,250. The WhatsApp group is good. They're not toxic in there. So you guys, you've been in a little while now, Gary, and I mean, they're pretty good. You might get a bit of bickering, but they're very good. I left the other WhatsApp groups, all the ones I was in, because it's just too much toxicity. And I like to post facts and post loads of videos, and I do bombard the group with loads of stuff and people on the show. So with facts, and we pride ourselves being a fact-based, mature and sensible group, a bit like this group here. It's the same as Aries as well. You know, the good shows, good content, you know. So yeah, that's it. We've got a Discord as well, but I mainly archive everything on the Discord because I'm I game a bit. Yeah, so that's about us, really. It's about us.
Yes, head over to Spurs Diehards. Kieran, where can we find you and all the good things? You're becoming a regular now. I think you've been on nearly every show now.
I'm going to stop paying rent soon.
Now. I have to start paying you soon with all this YouTube money that we're not making.
Yeah, for me, it's just Prjctspurs on TikTok and YouTube, mainly where I post content, mainly where I post ranting. So yeah, that's pretty much me.
Perfect. And Phil, all the great things you're doing over there as well. Where can we find you?
Yeah, thanks for having me on again, Gary. And I'm happy that you got so many live viewers as well today. So great growth so far. Great start to the channel. Yeah, I'm mainly on X, on Twitter, but at Prjctspurs. You know, I tweet mainly about Spurs and Frankfurt, a bit of Bundesliga stuff. There'll be more coming on that front finally at some point. And yeah, check me out. And always a pleasure to be on.
I appreciate you having it. Obviously, get that Bundesliga channel started. I kept saying, oh, I'll do one. And the easiest thing you can do is just sign up to the StreamYard and click record. Honestly, it's great. It's great to be on others' shows as well, but talking things you're passionate about is obviously brilliant. But there's 353 people watching, which is fantastic. I really appreciate that. Please do follow everybody on here. Let's hope for a positive result next Saturday against Liverpool. But in the meantime, as always,
one final point. If you love Spurs and hate Arsenal, smash that like button and subscribe to this channel. It's going to be a fantastic channel. I can see that it is, yeah?
I appreciate that, Adrian. Thanks for all of you, top guys. And again, yes, come on, you Spurs.
Oh, the streets are cold and grey, but the fire in our hearts won't stray from the pitch where dreams collide. We'll stand together side by side. Oh, when the Spurs go